About you all, but I feel cleansed. I cut my hair maybe about a little less than 10 years ago. I've never looked back. And the one thing that I wanted to add to the conversation from just now that everyone should take away is you can't ascend to your full potential unless you are you. And I think that was what I learned from seeing the ladies on stage. So thank you again. All right, now we're going to channel a little of our Beyonce energy. The next talk is Let's Get Information, Tech Talks with Women in Tech. And we have some serious corporate heavy hitters about to take the stage. So I hope everyone is ready to soak up all the knowledge. Just so you know, if you're getting a little hungry, we will have lunch after this session. So hopefully you'll be able to sit tight and soak up all the knowledge from our upcoming panelists. So without further ado, I want to introduce the moderator, Jacqueline Mitchell. Jacqueline. Welcome. Jacqueline is People Operations Business Partner at Spruce. Is that correct? Awesome. And she's wearing an amazing suit. We also have Angel Johnson, who's Director of Business Information Security at Walmart. No big deal. And we have Sandra Mosquera, who is VP of Tech Modernization at JPMorgan Chase. All right. Thank you so much. I will leave the floor to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, rather. We really appreciate y'all attending, and then most importantly, we really appreciate Shannon for putting this all together and the entire drama behind. This is going to be great. So, I guess I'll introduce myself first. My name is Jacqueline Mitchell, and I'm currently a People Operations Business Partner with a fintech company called Spruce Holdings. Additionally, about 2 years ago, I started my own HR consulting company, 412 Consulting, where I help businesses, mainly startups and small businesses, navigate the HR space, doing a lot of risk compliance, labor relations strategy, workforce planning, performance management, things of that nature. And then in my free time, I am a mom to an amazing 12-year-old girl who is an aspiring soccer player. I will also allow the panel to introduce themselves. So, Angel, if you'd like to start.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. I'm Angel Johnson. I've been in tech for almost 25 years. Yes, I got started as a baby. I love tech. Tech has been such a blessing to my life, to my family's life. Started out as a developer and then moved into project management, program management, and then ultimately leading tech programs. I moved into cyber. That's the beauty of tech, is that you're able to work on many type of initiatives, types of projects, and so I'll stop there for a second and go ahead and let Sandra go.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandra Mosquera. I am VP of API Marketplace. I am from Colombia. I've been in the US for 14 years, and I've been in tech for about 7.
All right, ladies. So if we wanted to start with one of our first questions is, how did you start your career in tech, and what challenges did you face as a woman in a male-dominated industry? And not even just a male-dominated industry, it is a white male-dominated industry. And I will give my little 2 cents. For me, I actually fell into it. In college, I was on a law track and had to pivot. Yesterday, we had an amazing conversation about pivots. I needed to pivot in order to be a full-time mom, and HR was something that was presented to me, and I've had a wonderful opportunity landing in a lot of different spaces, working with some big name companies, TD, UBM, Amazon, Coca-Cola, just to name a few. But I've had the wonderful experience of working with ladies like Angel and Sandra in developing employees, ensuring that we have diversity in our spaces, and not just our workforce spaces, but in our senior level spaces, in our head of spaces as well. And Angel.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm from Philly. So Philly is home for me. I went to Temple University, and I majored in computer information systems. One of my good girlfriends, Gina, who suffered through the major with me 20 years ago, is here. And so it was tough, y'all. You know, it was a really hard major. And the story that I always like to tell, because this is when it got real for me, is I had taken a C++ class and I did not do as well as I would have liked. I think I got a D, which is not considered passing for computer information systems as a major. And the chair, I went to the chair and I was all distraught, oh my gosh. I wanted, try to figure out why I'm not doing well in this class. And he told me, looked me in the eye, and he told me, you should consider changing your major. The gas. Everybody did is how I felt, except the tears came to my eyes, trying not to cry, but I was sad. It was a sad day for me, and it's super important to have a good crew around you. Sandra and I were talking about this. We don't get to these places by ourselves, and so I remember a couple of my good friends. They were like, you know what, you should just take it again and go with a different professor. And distraught, I wasn't even thinking clearly. Your heart started racing, and you're like, and I took it again and I passed. But for me, when you talk about challenges, that was one of those experiences. Had I listened to that chair, I would not be sitting where I am today. And so it's so important to have a good, strong crew around you, but also have an inner confidence. I knew that given another opportunity, I would be able to persevere. And so, funny enough, my whole career has been just like that. Someone saying otherwise, and me knowing within my heart that I could do it, that I could take on the challenging projects, that I could, push myself, and that I could ultimately continue to have a career in tech.
Absolutely, Sandra.
Yeah. So one story is funny. So I came to the US thinking that I was going to be a lawyer because in Colombia I was studying law. So I didn't know that law in the US was a master's degree. So I got here, went to the community college, I did paralegal, and then I was working at TVI in Random. And I'm like, well, I need to go to school. And they had the program for working people at night, and they only had like 3 offerings. And one of them was information systems. My dad is an engineer, and my best friend in Colombia is an information system manager. So I'm thinking I can do this, right? So I did the information system. I was a little bit older than everybody in the class. And I'm like, well, but I'm definitely not going to be a developer. Like, I cannot do Java, C, none of that, right? So I was like, well, databases. So I took all of the databases classes, and I was like ready to be a database administrator. And then graduation came, and as I'm sitting in the hair salon with my mom, and for my graduation, I get a call from a recruiter. And they're like, well, we want to interview you for a Java developer position. I was like, I don't think so. I was like, but me, I was like, okay, but why me? And they're like, well, we've seen your resume, and I had gone to school, the advisory, and they have helped me with the resume. And they're like, yeah, we want to make sure that, we introduce you to the recruiters. And I was like, okay. And they're like, yeah, we'll call you in 45 minutes. I was like, what? I'm at the hair salon. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I was like, well, let me tell you something. I'm not a Java developer. I know databases, but I don't do coding. I did good in my classes, and they were like, don't worry about it. They're looking for somebody that is good in databases because their code is being very slow because their queries are not efficient. So they want somebody that have good database knowledge, and then you can learn. I'm like, okay, I'll do this. So 45 minutes later, they call me and they ask me, let's say 10 questions. There were 10 databases and 10 Java. I did the 5.5. So I did the 5 databases really good, and when Java came, I was like, I'm sorry, I think I answered 1. And I was like, but if you teach me, I will learn, right? Like, I don't know it, and I did got a B, I think, in my algorithms classes, so I think I can do it. And they were like, okay, let's see, how it goes or whatever. I remember calling my friends, and I was like, they're probably laughing about it. They were like, this person doesn't know. And I was like, it's a Java developer's position. So I told my mom, I was like, no, I'm not gonna get that position, like whatever. And then 3 hours later, they called me and they're like, they wanna interview you. I was like, okay. And I'm like, but you gotta give me a couple of days, right? I was like, I'm busy, this and that, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna go study. I'm gonna go study for this interview because I don't know Java. And I was like, okay. So I asked them for like a week. And then I went in that week and I studied all the Java questions, everything that I could do. And when I got there, they only asked me for databases. And they hired me. And that's how I became a Java developer. After that, they put a mentor, a good mentor that helped me learn. And that's how I did 2 years of Java development.
Awesome. Definitely a funny story. I guess, Sandra, sticking with you for just a moment, if you want to share with the audience, what skills do you think are most important for women in tech leadership positions, and how can women develop those skills?
I always talk about communication. I think it's very important that we're concise, that we drive the message. When it comes to technology and leadership, and especially because you start thinking about the business side of technology, as you grow in your career, there's going to be a more business position with the knowledge and technology that you have. So it's important that you're clear in what your business goals are, what you're clear in your knowledge is. I also think that a balanced temper, you know how we have this stigma of being, like, I remember my first job, first week, they say that I was rude. I have never been accused in my life to be rude. And it was because I told the person that was gossiping in the office that I was here for work, that I wanted to do work, and if she had anything that was job related, and I was really nice about it, but she thought it was rude. So from that I took, you know what, I have to take it back. I didn't have to say it, right? So I do think, and we were talking about our authentic self, I do think that we have to be authentic, but we have to understand the audience, and we have to be able to tailor our communication style so that our goals are perceived as we want them. And it doesn't get cluttered with everything about who we are, because we are a lot. And that's a good thing to be a lot, but you don't want them to just hear everything else but the message that you're trying to drive.
I would add to that. I think confidence is underrated. I have a daughter, and it's super important for me to make sure that she's confident. Now, sometimes she's a little too confident. But, we all have, kind of spiritual gifts. And so it is very important that we tap into those gifts. So when you come to the table, you know exactly who you are. And there's nobody who can tell me I'm not good at leading programs and projects. I know that. I can do it with my eyes closed. If you handcuff me and turn me around, I can still do that. I know that that's my gift. And so we all have gifts inside of us. And so it's super important for you to come to the table with your confident self. She said authentic. I would add on confident. Bring your confident self. You know what you're good at. So when you show up, it's not a debate. I'm not here to debate it. I know who I am. I know what I'm good at. I'm bringing this gift to work.
Yes, I love that confidence and authentic self. I know many people in the room, if you just want to raise your hands, how many of you have been told by an employer, a colleague, a coworker that you were aggressive? Yes, I know that's absolutely happened to me.
And I said, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to talk about aggression for one second. Because women, so sometimes women versus men. So aggressive men are okay, but aggressive women are not. And so, I think we were talking about, Sandra, I think it was you, or no, I think you had mentioned when you came into the room and everyone was looking around for the leader.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm here, she's here. And so, that whole word aggression, it is socially acceptable at times for men, but not for women.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I am proud to say that my father is in the audience, and one of the things that he has always instilled in my sisters and I is commanding respect. Just because I command respect does not mean I'm being disrespectful.
Correct.
So it is really, really important for folks to embody that and appreciate where you've come from and where you're going, because you are absolutely going somewhere. Great. Right. Angel, we can turn to you for just a moment. What advice would you give to women who are just starting their tech career, and what do you wish you had known when you were starting out?
Yeah, very early on when I was at Temple, I had come through the Inroads program, shout out to Inroads, and they allowed me to, my sponsoring company was GE Capital, and they allowed me to work on various rotations. And that was really, really probably my saving grace, because when you're in your early 20s, even mid 20s, you're not sure what part of tech you're interested in. And so the internship rotational program gave me an opportunity to do some development, database, SQL. I was on a few different rotations. There were some I was like, oh, this is cool. There was others I was like, that's a no for me. Especially the development. I remember I was doing like power builder stuff. But so my advice would be, give yourself some grace over the first probably 10 years of your career. Try, pivot. You're not going to know, even the fact that we're instructed to pick a major, in your early 20s, it's hard. You're still trying to get to know yourself, trying to get to know your gifts, trying to understand what you can see yourself doing. You're also in tech, you're going to move through various things. There are things that I would have never even imagined back when I first started. When I first started, I was doing development, database stuff. And then later on in my career, mobile apps came about. And so I remember feeling like, oh my God, I can't wait to get a mobile app project under my belt, and so these tech is forever growing. So stay open. You're definitely going to be in a position to pivot. Pivoting is okay in tech. Nobody expects you to keep doing the same thing for 20 years in tech. And so that's the beauty. Embrace the ever-changing. Don't fight against it. If it's something that's going out of style, you say, okay, you put that in the back and you move on. AI is, everybody's talking about that right now. Start digging into it. But ultimately, the advice I would give is to stay flexible, continue learning, and give yourself grace to put one thing down in tech and then pick something back up.
Sandra?
I would say, I always tell the people that I mentor, it is okay to do things that are hard. Right? So we have to admit that being an engineer is not easy. Engineering classes are not easy, but we are capable of doing things that are hard. It doesn't mean that we're going to succeed at doing it, but we are capable of doing it and seeing it through. So I always tell people, it's okay, try it. You're gonna feel like you're not understanding anything. And the third class end, the 6 month end, then it all will click. You gotta give yourself that time to do the hard part of it and then see the result. Whether it is an A or a C or sometimes a D, and then you have to try it again. But we're capable of doing hard things.
Another daddy quote, hard is not impossible.
Thank you. Yes.
Daddy, they want to know who you are. All right. Sandra, if we can stick with you for just a moment. How can we create a more inclusive and diverse workplace culture in tech? And what steps can companies take to promote diversity and equity?
So we were talking about this. So we have to understand that diversity is not just one group of people, right? Companies need to allow themselves to hear diverse people and what diversity means. So if you have a black person or a black woman in your group, that doesn't make you diverse. right? You have to have a black male, you have to have a queer black person, you have to have some Latin. So diversity has to be understood in a more complex way, right? And I also think we have to allow diverse knowledge, diverse education. So I love that now we are taking people that don't have a degree, right? So if you are in a career and you don't like it, you can bring your skills and learn what I need you to learn. So I think it's very important for companies to start looking and tapping into other type of diverse knowledge too.
Yeah, I would just go on and touch on the retention. We talked about this as well. After you bring in the different various types of people, if you don't work hard on the culture, if you don't work hard to make it a place where people can come with fresh ideas, they can come with their authentic selves, they can, wear the turban that they were talking about right before, they can wear it straight, they can wear, you have to create an environment, and most of the time that comes down to the culture. So it's super important to make sure all of those check boxes are checked too, otherwise you're going to have a revolving door. People are going to come in because the diversity was there. Okay, I see Sandra there, Angel's there, but then if you don't have a place where people want to stay, where people are, getting promoted, where people are able to take training, classes, have those rotations, we're not single-threaded individuals, and so you have to create a workspace to allow that.
I think a lot of things, in my experience, what I've seen is companies hire Black and brown, but they don't promote. Those are not the faces that you see in the C-suite offices, in the head of spaces. One of the things that I love about my job is I get a say in promotions, and it's really important for me to challenge leaders on this unconscious bias that there's, they might have too much going on, and that's why they won't be able to fulfill job duties and requirements, and that is absolutely not the case. We are multi-skilled and can do a job, if not better, than some of our counterparts.
I was going to add, we need HR people that also are diverse.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, that's helps.
Yeah. Oh yes, we were talking about this earlier. I would walk into rooms and the assumption would be that I was the admin. I was there to take the notes or play with the chord. No. I am actually here to participate actively. So
and to lead,
ultimately
we're all up here because we're leaders. We're leaders in our space, we're leaders in tech. And so we don't have to shy away from that. We're, most of us are natural born leaders. So I was, the bossy kid on the playground. I'm a leader. I want to come up with the rules. I want to make the rules. I want to, incorporate it into what we're doing. And it's okay to lead. It's okay to be strong. It's okay to be a leader.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, sticking with you, Angel, please. How can we promote collaboration and mentorship among women in tech? And what role can organizations like Career Circle and Formation play in supporting these efforts?
Yeah, I'm super proud of Shannon for putting this together. And so, I have another girlfriend, June K. Donna, she was doing Hugh for the last few years. I saw a few people that was at the Hugh conference. And so it's always important for, if you have an idea, put the conferences together. It takes a lot of work to pull these types of conferences together where we can all come out, where we can talk, where we can hear, where we can listen and relate. So it's super important to have a real good crew of people that you can call when things are getting tough. And so
that tribe.
Exactly. It's so it's very important for each of us to have our own individual tribe. When you don't get the promotion, or when one of your direct reports is doing X, Y, and Z. We kind of talked about that too. You need to be able to bounce those ideas. We're not in this by ourselves. We are a community, and so it's in our best interest to have that community in order to really be able to succeed.
Sandra,
yeah, I was going to say, we also, as people in diverse background, needs to be welcoming to the white community, and we need to ensure It is not a responsibility, but it helps, right? If you don't feel like doing it, it's okay. You do you and do it with your crew if that's what you want to do. But I find that when I am welcoming to other people, they're easier on the next person that is going to come in. Because we're humans. They're human too. And we all have apprehensions and we don't want to be in an environment or be in an environment where they feel, fearful all the time. So we have to have the tough conversations, but we have to be kind about it, right? And we have to make sure that when we are telling the people we want to improve, we want to improve for you too. And in that way, we open up the room for other diverse people to come in because you kind of ease a little bit that, oh my God.
Be a seeker
Can
of
I ask a
feedback.
follow-up on that? I'm sorry, I just decided to make it interactive, but it's such an interesting point. Do you think that they're having conversations encouraging each other to be welcoming to us? And the follow-up there is, how would you define welcoming?
So I don't think the people that is not diverse care that much to have a conversation, right? But I do think that if you're kind with everybody, no matter what the background is, then that open up the space for them to feel like, well, let me inquire about this. Now, we have to have our limits, right? We have to have, there are things that you cannot talk to me about, you cannot say, because that is my limit. But if you're kind enough to say, but if you have a question that is not related, let's say I don't want to talk about my hair, but I can talk about other things like I come from Colombia. What type of food do I like? Right? Because they can find those things that are common that are not so touchy because I understand that we heard when they touch us on those points. But there are other points that are part of our diversity that we can communicate and talk. Kids, sports, food, that are easy topics to relate to, that tell them I'm a human too, right? And that, is a hard thing, especially for the first one, right? Like, I'm the only black woman, I'm the only Latina, and sometimes I'm like, why do I have to do this? But I tell myself, I do it for the next person, so that the next person is not the only or the first. And again, it's not your responsibility and you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But if you feel like you can do it, I feel like I can do it, so I try, right? So I have those conversations a little bit. And when I feel like they're being too into it, I'll be like, okay, let's change the topic, let's talk about work, and just move it along. But at least a little bit will make things move because it's a hard work and we all have to work on it.
Yeah, I think when she says that, it makes me think of relatability. And so there are some topics that extend, family, how's your family doing, there are, life happens to everybody. And so we are able to relate on a human level. And sometimes that may be all you have in common. It's just on a human level. How's your parents doing? How's your, you may not feel like it that day. But I think it's important to get to know your teams, get to know the people. At the end of the day, to answer your question, at the end of the day, it is in the best interest for most companies to have diverse staff. The most diverse companies typically do well from a profit and revenue perspective. And so it is, yes, I do think that people are talking about it, whether they're talking about it as much as we do want them to, I don't know that. I can't speak to that. But I do think conversations are being had, especially after George Floyd, after a lot of different incidents, there are conversations that are happening. And we also can discuss how we feel about certain things for to speak to that relatability and to humanize who we are and who we are as people, who we are as minorities, how it makes us feel. It's okay to share that because we want them to have information from us and not secondhand.
I think I might be a little bit more abrasive because I have become comfortable with recognizing when I'm and my resume speaks for itself. I will not prove anything. I don't need to. I have a long resume because I was done and I moved on. And I think that that's really important for folks to understand. Don't be afraid to step out and do something different. Again, pivot. Don't be afraid of it. Take a chance on yourself because nobody else is going to.
Yeah, when I know we're kind of getting to the end, and one of the topics that I would like to bring up just around that is, tech is a very lucrative career.
Thank you.
And so, I have an entrepreneurial spirit, and so it is very important to, think about things that you're passionate about outside of your resume. If there are other business you're trying to start, a little side hustle, let's see if we got a sister who agrees with that. You want to get a little food cart, all of those types of entrepreneurial spirits, investing. I started investing 25 years ago right here in Philadelphia. Bought my first investment property with the tax salary that I was making back in the day. I took $7,500 down to the sheriff's sale and bought my first house. It was a hot mess, but I bought it. And, I became an investor in my 20s. And so I want to just, piggyback and add that because sometimes work gets very frustrating. Sometimes, the whole rat race, the business, it can be, a little much, to say the least. And so it's always nice to have something else that you love, that you're passionate about, that you kind of get to control. Nobody gets to control that rental property. I get to control the rental property. And so it's always good to have those, keep your entrepreneurial spirit so that you always have your own thing on the side, whatever that is. Whether you sell lashes, whether whatever you're interested in, whatever your gift is, always kind of have something that you can fall back on so that when those days in the corporate environment get a little rough, which they often do, that you have something, that you're interested in outside of that.
I was gonna say, it's funny because I always tell people, they're like, what is your passion? Well, making money is my passion. It's true. And so I often find that we tell our kids, go find your passion. And when I was in community college, I would tell my friends, you can be passionate about what you do, but if you cannot pay your bills, it's not going to be the same thing. And I think for diverse people, because we have our parents to take care, and we have our kids to take care, and we have so many other stresses economically, it is important to understand that tech can give you that financial security you need, right? And the flexibility that a lot of other industries don't have, so that you can make money and then in your off time do what you are passionate about. I like politics. On my free time, I go and volunteer. But I don't like having my money coming from that because then my values are not attached to it. I can volunteer to whoever I feel like and not whoever is paying me, right? So I always tell people, please look into the tech industry. I know it's challenging, but I promise you when you get that paycheck, right, you're going to be happy.
No stress away.
Yeah, and maybe you just have to take a vacation to a nice island because you can afford it, right? And that is a little bit more than what you think. But if you can afford food, if you can afford helping your parents, if you can afford helping your siblings because they didn't make it into tech, that also gives you peace of mind. And that's why I'm always encouraging people, especially women, is if you are a single mother, if you didn't go to college, look into tech. Because this is a space that is very well positioned for you to make money and have the flexibility that you need.
So I want to ask one question that got voted up on the WOVA app. So what advice do you have to women who need to pitch their promotion opportunity?
This is a hard one.
When you say pitch, is that sort of like your own business, you're pitching?
So no, they're looking to pitch their promotion opportunity. So approach approach their manager.
This one is, so first of all, so this is one of my topics that I love because, and if you don't hear me say anything today, please hear this. Do not wait until the end of the year to put a list together of all your accomplishments. That should be done every time you have a win. So you're like, oh yeah, that was a win. You go into your OneNote, Word, whatever you want to use, your notes on your phone, and you document that. You have to document it because unless you have one of them, memories, which I don't have, it's impossible to capture all of that stuff at the end of the year. So my one piece of advice, capture it as it happens. So then by the time it's up, time for, the review, the promotion comes up, you have a list. You have a long list of all the amazing things. These things are not the type of things that will go on your resume. They're outside of the resume. If you killed it on that project, if you were the lead on that initiative, if so-and-so said, girl, you killed it, you want to write exactly, so, Susan said on this day that I killed it. And so when you go up for promotion, those things matter. It matters to have that level of documentation. Look, boss, Susan said I killed it. I felt I killed it. You gave me an award. All of those amazing things that happen throughout the year, you have your running list. So then you're not trying to convince someone. It shouldn't necessarily be a pitch at that point. It is a reminder of all the amazing things that I have contributed, that you said so, that I thought so, and so you want to have a running list throughout the year.
I was going to say, also when you're looking for a promotion and you're working hard to do it, let it be known, right? I'm not saying go around telling everybody I want to be my boss, but have the conversation with your boss. You know what? I've been here 2 years and I would like to have a leadership position, right? So that the boss understands that extra work, that extra mind that you're putting is because you want him to understand that you're capable to do that next job. I find that a lot of us have in our mind that we want to get that promotion and we work extra hard and we don't tell anybody. And then when we tell the boss at the end of the year that we want to do it, then that would be nice. So don't be the nice person just to be nice. Make sure that your boss understands I am taking this extra responsibility that is not in my job resume or is not my job description because I've proven to you that I can do it next. So again, when the conversation comes, you already proved that you are at that level. And you already have your list of things that you did. So at this point, it's not a pitch, right? You've proven that you can do it.
Yeah, it made me think of just simple things of asking what you want. And I know a lot of women, we sometimes struggle with this at times because we're like, well, I don't want to be forward, I don't want to, be too needy, assertive. I mean, there's many different ways that we rationalize not asking, but the reality is that no one is a mind reader. You can't expect your boss to be a mind reader, your partner. Ask for what you want. If you know you are looking to be promoted, if you know it's been years, talk to your boss at the beginning of the year. This is the year where I would like to be promoted. What can I do? I will say I've led, small teams to large teams. People hardly ask. You would think that people ask, but they don't. And so you have to be the one to ask. You know what you want. I'm not, as your boss, I got 20 other people. I try to do my best as a leader, but I can't read 20 people's minds. If you're looking for a stretch assignment, if you know you don't like the work, and there's another role over here that you're interested in, say that too. But you can't just sit and be unhappy or, not taking charge of your own life. We all get to lead the lives that we want to lead. And so you have to ask for what you want and not expect someone else just to deliver it for you.
I was going to add, and when you're thinking about a promotion, think about being promoted not just in your own role and in your own company. If you think it's time, and your company is now giving it to you, find someone else. You put in your resume all of those things because you already have it proven, and you said, you know what, I took care of this, and this, and this, and now if you're not going to make me the person that I want to be in this company, go to the next one.
Yeah, it's just, my last thought is just around, life is so short, and, just sitting up here, for me saying I've been in tech for 25 years, it's straight crazy. It goes so fast, and so you want to do work that you love. You want to do work that you're passionate about. you don't want to waste years and you look up and it's 25 years later. Now I'm happy and I'm still like, yes, tech. But that's because I've chosen the life that I wanted. We all get to choose the life that we want. And so if you know you are not feeling whatever it is that you're in right now, make a pivot, change. You don't have to sit somewhere for 5, 10, 15 years and you know you don't like it, you know you can't stand it, and you're being mean to everybody because you're grumpy. Listen, choose something else. There's so many aspects of life. Yes, make money. But yeah, choose something else that is going to bring joy to your life and money.
Thank you. So this is where I know I've been held because I don't ask for anything. I let my superior know what my intentions are and what I'm looking for. And I allow them to understand that I'm looking for it in this period of time. If not, it is my time to go. And with that being said, I just want a word, a phrase, something that you want the audience to leave with today.
You want me to start?
Please.
I always said, be brave, right? Do it anyway. I know you're going to be scared. I know you're going to be tired. I know it's going to be hard. Do it anyway.
We choose happiness above everything else. You have to be happy. So every single day, choose to be happy.
Yeah, and I think mine is similar around bravery. Do not be afraid to take a chance on you. Because I kid you not, I'm in these rooms with these leaders and they're not taking chances on you. Do not be afraid to take a chance on you. Thank you.